Hello, I'm Tim. I'm a professional trumpet player, which means I earn my living playing the trumpet. I'm also part of the Bold As team. I'm a freelance professional trumpet player. Freelance means I work with lots of different groups. And one of the things I love about the trumpet is the fact that it is so versatile. And I've spent the last 30 years playing with lots of different orchestras all over the world. Orchestras, bands, pop groups, in concerts, in West End shows, all sorts of things like that. Being a freelance player means I play in all sorts of different things. And one day I might be playing with an orchestra. Last night I was playing at English National Opera, doing a performance of Aida, which has 11 or 12 trumpets in, huge orchestra and about 50 singers on stage, massive great thing. And then the next night I might be working in a West End show or doing some teaching. So I do have a real variety of activities in my job. So, how do we play a note on the trumpet? How do we make a sound out of this piece of metal? One of my teachers used to say a trumpet never makes any sound on its own at all, unless you drop it. But we don't want to make that sort of sound, we want to make some musical sounds. With all brass instruments we have a metal mouthpiece, much like this. Trombone would be a bit bigger, French horn would be a little bit smaller, but this is a trumpet mouthpiece. We create the sound by blowing through it and vibrating our lips. It's not a particularly musical sound, is it? But if you attach it to a tube, you can make some much nicer sounds. In fact, I've got a piece of hosepipe here that you can actually put a trumpet mouthpiece in, and you can get a limited number of notes. Listen to this. That's a bit of trumpet voluntary played on a hosepipe. So you can get all those notes, but we prefer to do it on a piece of metal tubing, which I think makes a slightly nicer sound. This is a modern orchestral B-flat trumpet. So we can play all the chromatic notes from right down low, right up to the top. That was a bit of An American in Paris, which is a show that's on in the West End of London at the moment, which I was playing in last weekend, and I'm doing it again tomorrow. The trumpet is very versatile. That was a sort of jazz-influenced tune by George Gershwin, but the trumpet is quite famous really for playing fanfare-like tunes like this. So with the mouthpiece in the hosepipe, I can play these notes. It's not very well in tune, is it? But you get the idea. On the trumpet, I can play the same sort of series of notes, like this. These are called the notes of the harmonic series, and as you get higher, those notes become closer together, like this. If I play the low notes, you'll notice they're quite a long way apart from each other. can start playing tunes, like we did on the hosepipe. What the valves do, they effectively alter the length of the tubing. If I don't press any of the valves, the air goes straight down this tube here, round here, and straight out the bell. If I were to press this valve down, it goes down, the air goes down here, through that bit of tubing, and then out the bell. So it makes the tubing longer, like a trombone player pushing his slide out. So, as well as these notes, I can play this lower series of notes. And the various combinations, there are 7 different combinations with the 3 valves. You can play a fully chromatic scale. We just think of it as one trumpet that can play a fully chromatic scale. Like that. Most of the things I've played so far have been quite loud, and I think brass instruments are generally associated with music that is quite loud. But we can play quiet too. We can play a slow, quiet tune like this. Trumpets, trombones, they don't only play loud, we can play quiet stuff too. To help us play quiet, we've got a selection of things here which we call mutes, which just basically change the sound of the instrument. But you can put, this is a cup mute, and I like this one because you can put it up, make it really tight, and you can play a very different sort of sound. So that's quite a jazzy, quiet, jazzy sort of sound. This is a standard mute, what we call a straight mute, which makes a sort of echoey sort of sound. So that's the straight mute. This one, what we have next? This is the Harmon mute, which I think always makes me think of cartoon films. Which is quite good fun. And lastly, this is a plunger mute, which I like making sounds, growling sound, by rolling my tongue, like that. As I said, I've been playing the trumpet for a long time. I started when I was 7 at school, had lessons with a very nice teacher who was very encouraging. So I was quite a slow starter. It took me a long time to get into it. But over the years, I suppose I just practiced more and more and got better at it. I mean, these days, when I'm working, I have to do at least an hour's practice every day just to keep my lip in good shape. But in the early years, it's more about spending a regular amount of time every day. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And it's a great instrument to play. I'd thoroughly recommend it. And give it a go. Give it a go. It plays in every sort of type of music you can think of, the trumpet does. Bands, orchestras, theatres, pop music. As I said, if you're at all interested in music, the trumpets fit in almost everywhere.